Hello and welcome. I'm Bob Laliberte, Principal Analyst with theCUBE Research. And today we're diving into one of the fastest growing areas of enterprise connectivity, that being 5G fixed wireless access. And we're joined by a company who's been at the forefront of this movement, Inseego. So joining me today is CUBE alumni, Donna Johnson, the Chief Marketing Officer at Inseego. Welcome, Donna.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, it's great. And I know this is probably the first time you've been on since joining Inseego, so welcome. Great to have you on board. Um, Before we get into the market and technology, I would love to start by giving our audience some context around Inseego. So can you tell us a little bit more about Inseego, maybe the role that your technology plays in helping businesses quickly and easily stay connected, and maybe how you're differentiated in your approach?
Sure. Thank you. And thanks for having me. I shared with you earlier that this is my first interview since I've been at Inseego. Appreciate you letting me kind of work out my kinks with here online. Inseego is, as I think you mentioned, it's been around for a little while, 25 years to be specific. And we have always been at the forefront of connectivity, even as connectivity itself has changed, as we've been through multiple different generations of Gs, so to speak. And we are very much dedicated to connectivity. So we don't have a general networking division. We're not selling core networks. We really are focused at that edge connectivity via wireless technology. And currently, of course, primarily via 5G. And so one of the ways that we differentiate ourselves is by having an incredibly broad range of connectivities at that 5G edge. Some people know us as the inventor of the MiFi. And many people use MiFis that are probably listening today. Some people even use it maybe that weren't made by Inseego, but that is our trademark. And so one of the ways that we differentiate ourselves is by being able to connect people in the way that they want, where they want. So if you're an individual, you're traveling, you have a MiFi device, you're in a hotel, you don't want to hop on the hotel Wi-Fi, we have a solution for that. You're a business that wants to connect to fixed location, we have a solution for that. And we really feel like we are always staying at the edge of cellular technology. We're very closely aligned with Qualcomm. And so we like to differentiate ourselves in ease of use, having a broad portfolio, meeting our customers where they are, and also a good set of go-to-market partners, including both carriers and resellers.
Excellent. That sounds good. And if, I know, for example, I am a customer. I've got a MiFi. I love it when I'm traveling, when I'm at events, when everyone there's 10,000 people, trying to get on the same Wi-Fi access. I can just hop on my MiFi. It always comes through for me. So I've been extremely happy with it. I'm wondering if you could, I know you've been here for a short period of time. I assume you've talked to a few customers. What do you hear from your customers about the value that you're delivering and what they really like the most?
So, I think we all take connectivity for granted. Those of you who travel a lot, obviously, businesses, and it's amazing how often you can take it for granted and it still doesn't deliver for you. So, like you said, you could be at a location that has a lot of people on Wi-Fi, like a conference or a sporting event. We definitely still have outages. Hotels are the bane of my existence. You get a full signal and your performance is still really poor. So, one of the things that we hear consistently from our end customers is they really like the consistency and the predictability of having connectivity where they need it, when they need it, without necessarily having to compromise performance or security. So that's probably the number one thing. They want to know wherever they go, they have that security of, I will be able to connect. And when you're a business and you're using FWA, which we'll talk about more, maybe you're not moving around, but you still need that assurance that no matter what happens, there won't be any disruption to your connectivity. Whether you're using 5G as your principal and only connection, whether you're using a secondary connection, it really gives you that peace of mind. And then the other thing that people say about Inseego that I appreciate is the performance of the products. So at any given sort of cellular signal strength or coverage, we tend to perform very well. We're very strong uplink performance, which is really important for those businesses or even for business travelers that are uploading, video, PowerPoints, things like that. And then they really like the manageability, especially as we get into more of the enterprises. That manageability through the cloud becomes so important because these things are almost by their nature going to be highly distributed. And so you really need a good, solid management framework for that.
Excellent. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And And like I said, I've certainly been very happy with it. And not only have I been using it myself, but I know our video production team have been using the 4100 when they go on site to be able to upload videos. So definitely can affirm those capabilities and that value that it's bringing. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fixed wireless access market, if we could. So obviously, when we hear about what's the killer app for something, right? A lot of people started, oh, it's going to be private, it's going to be 5G cellular, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But it seems like fixed wireless access has really become a strong point for adoption of 5G. I'm wondering how you see this market evolving for the enterprise over the next year or so.
You're absolutely right that FWA is the largest growing area of growth within, particularly in 5G connectivity. And it makes sense because right now, pretty much everybody has one, maybe even two cell phones. So you're not really going to grow much in that area. So using cellular as your data connection, particularly for locations, is the area where they're seeing a lot of growth. Now, that could be consumer. So, a lot of FWA is actually growing in the consumer space. So, many houses are choosing to forego using cable. Maybe they don't have fiber. And so, they're going direct to cellular as the primary connectivity source for that home. And that is where quite a bit of the FWA growth is. But we're seeing more and more within the business side. And for the same reason, maybe they don't have a good fiber connection. Maybe they don't have a good connection at all. There's still a lot of DSL out there, even in large cities where they just haven't had the capacity to be able to run some of those really high bandwidth fiber. You're tending to see 5G as really a good, solid, reliable, high bandwidth option. So the carriers are seeing that they're really excited about this market, and we're also seeing MNOs and VARs and MSPs and other companies that don't necessarily offer the network service itself, who are excited about being able to provide FWA options to their customers.
Yeah, and what I find really intriguing about the progress that it's making is that with 4G, it was largely looked at a tertiary type of backup capability. And so organizations would have, well, if I need redundancy, I'm going to have at least dual broadband. And then, yeah, I'll leverage this for a tertiary connectivity. But I think with 5G, we're seeing it as a primary connectivity. Like you said, a lot of organizations are looking at it. They're looking at the cost structures and saying, hey, I can leverage this as my primary connectivity. I know for myself, working from home, having like a 4100, it's great for redundancy. There was actually a time we were talking earlier before this where we had a power outage and I got my generator going. So I got some power back so I had lights on and my PC working, but my cable was still down and I was able to leverage the 4100 to still conduct my business, do an actual video just like this over the 4100. So it's really proven to me anyways to be a great, anyone who wants to work from home and wants to have redundancy, it's awesome. So for any enterprise as well that needs to have redundancy, especially SMBs and so forth, it's a really cost-effective means to ensure that you stay connected. I was going to date myself earlier and say, yeah, this is wireless is, having this connectivity is kind of like the old dial tone. Used to get off the plane and run to the pickup. Okay, I got a dial tone. I'm connected and dial. And now it's all about how are we connected to the internet. And so this provides a great way to be able to do that. I'm also wondering with the fixed wireless access market, if you're seeing any trends across specific verticals more than others that are looking to adopt it.
Absolutely. I mean, you're tending still to see it in relatively low or smaller footprint locations. You're probably not going to see, a very large office building, for example, running off of FWA. And there's usually other options for them. So yeah, we tend to see it in smaller footprint, could be a restaurant, a retail establishment is very likely. We see it in some schools. Um, any sort of storefront, maybe it's a financial services location or something, that will see it. We also see it in areas that are fixed but move sometimes. So think of a construction trailer.
Yeah.
They're not going to get fiber running into that. They're going to be fixed in location for several months at a time, and then they're going to pick up and move. So it makes a lot of sense for areas like that as well. And then there are still bandwidth considerations. So the bandwidth on 5G, particularly with standalone, is very good. And the fact that you can upload a video on it is phenomenal. But we're going to want to work with businesses that still fit within the constraints of a single 5G link or potentially two 5G links. So that is also somewhat going to constrain the numbers of businesses that can use it.
Got it. Got it. No, that makes
Now, I'm
sense.
going to add, having said that, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, the performance on 5G is phenomenal. And I personally love seeing speed tests. And Bob, I know you like to run your own speed tests. You like to post them. It is truly amazing, as someone who will also date myself, to see just how much performance we can get out of 5G, particularly now on the upload side.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, when you're getting hundreds of meg upload and things like that, when you're at places, obviously there's really not much that you can't do with it that you couldn't do with a direct fiber connection. So it really provides an excellent solution for organizations that need to have that connectivity. And like you said, especially in those areas where there isn't any, ground-based connectivity, any fiber or anything like that coming to your house, or even copper, any kind of broadband. So I think that's great. One of the things, I didn't want to bury the lead here, but I know that you've introduced some new technology. And so I'm wondering if you could spend a few minutes talking about why Inseego introduced the FX 4200 and how it differs from what I've been using, the FX 4100.
Well, thank you. And yeah, we're super excited about the FX 4200 for a few reasons. The FX 4100 is a great product. It is an exclusive product to T-Mobile, and they're having tremendous success selling that to businesses and power users such as yourself. But it, of course, is limited to the T-Mobile network. And so the FX 4200 is a product that works on multi-carrier. So it's something that our partners can take to a business. So think of a restaurant that we were talking about. They're not always going to be inside of one carrier's network. And maybe they don't even know which carrier they're going to want to work with at a given location. So it really helps for them to have that multi-carrier capability. Things like construction trailers that move around, they're going to want that ability potentially to switch networks at some point. So that multi-carrier aspect is really nice. We also added 2.5 gig ports. So those are really good for performance. Again, as we get into larger facilities or places where a little more bandwidth is important, having those larger ports is very helpful. And then we added a battery. And you mentioned the power going out. You cranked up your generator. Love that you have that. But not everyone has a generator, and sometimes you just still need to remain connected. So your laptop has a battery. A lot of point of sale and other types of devices that establishments use have battery, or they're running on an iPad that doesn't need power. And so we think it's important their connectivity doesn't rely on power either. So we have that. And then a couple things that probably a little wonky that we're really excited about. It has a really nice screen on the front of the device. And what that lets you do is it lets you, with the battery, literally walk around your facility, look at the signal strength as you're moving, and find a location that's good. So instead of having to plug it in, test it, run a speed test, unplug it, move it, the battery allows you to kind of move around and figure out the best location, get a visual indication of it, and kind of lock it in and then plug it in. So that's kind of a corner case, but it's one of the things that makes installation easier and getting started really fast.
No, that sounds great. So clearly, I mean, some big advantages for organizations looking to deploy this from a high availability perspective. So not only could it be I want multiple different carriers for when I move around and whoever has the best connectivity, but it's also great for redundancy. So if I need a failover, it's not a failover to a fiber or landline connection. It's actually a failover between wireless carriers as well. And
Yeah,
obviously,
you can have dual SIMs that allow you to support two carriers, and we're adding support for DSDS, which is dual SIM, dual standby, which we're super excited about, which actually will allow you to switch carriers even faster and support a single software load. So when you do switch carriers, you don't have to load a new software. So not to get too much in the weeds, but it allows much faster failover and support for two networks.
yeah, no, I think that's great. Like I said, for those organizations that don't have any kind of landline connectivity, or they don't have a great performance, being able to have that with the dual SIM, being able to do that, the battery backup, it provides a lot of disaster recovery, business continuity, you might even say, for
Yep, I mean,
organizations.
we actually do say that.
Yep, to keep it operating. So
Absolutely.
I think that's great. So I know you just launched it. What's been the response so far from customers?
So we have announced it. As of this date, we haven't yet made it available through our partners. So we
Okay.
don't have a lot of responses yet from end customers. However, we've had a lot of excitement from our channel. And you know what? One of the things that they're saying is that there's a lot of options out there in 5G connectivity. I'm not going to lie. Like there's other companies that make devices that do that. My alma mater is one. However, there's sometimes some trade-offs that you need to make between the performance characteristics of those and the price point. There's also some trade-offs on complexity of devices versus being able to get started quickly. And so one of the things that we're hearing a lot from our partners is this product really hits the spot, kind of bridging between a good price point without being too complicated, but still having the manageability and the performance that their customers need. So we really feel like we've crafted a device that is ideally suited from small businesses all the way up through sort of mid-sized enterprises or even large enterprises with a lot of different locations. The performance characteristics, the manageability, the scalability, and the ease of use all really lend themselves towards being a great option for our partners.
Yeah, so it's got that enterprise capability, but for an SMB or small medium enterprise to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, if you can think about it, a lot of these smaller enterprises don't have an IT staff, or it's a part-time person. Maybe they've outsourced it. They don't want to. They don't want to get too much in the weeds on what's management. They just really want to say, I want to plug it in, I want it to work, I want to run some basic reports, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time tweaking it to making it just right. And so we allow you to get started very quickly. If you want to dive deeper, if you want to change your configuration, we have that capability through our cloud management, but you can get started very easily without any IT interactions.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One of the other areas I wanted to touch upon with you was, we've heard a lot about 5G and 5G standalone. So I'm wondering if you could comment on, to what extent that 5G standalone creates new opportunities for Inseego to be able to expand those fixed wireless access capabilities.
Well, number one, and we saw this a little bit with a couple prior generations, but the upload speed has been getting better and better. And that's really important. If you think of cell networks originally were anticipated with consumers in mind, the idea was they were going to download a lot of movies. Remember in the beginning, the benchmark was always how fast could you download a movie? I can do
Correct.
it in 1 minute. I can do it in 30 seconds. And so there's a lot of emphasis on that download speed. In a business use case, there's as much need for upload. And so 5G Advanced really helps us improve that upload speed. So that's been really important. It also introduces network slicing, which is something, again, I feel like we've talked about a lot. It hasn't yet manifested in a lot of value, but now that we're getting greater and greater coverage on 5G standalone, we'll be able to take advantage of that. And so slicing, if for those that may not know, basically allow you to dedicate a pipe. If you're old like me, you remember your MPLS queues. But it allows you to dedicate a certain segment of your connection to certain types of traffic. So we can associate, let's say, like AI traffic. We can put it on a particularly low latency slice. We can take IoT traffic, which tends to be low bandwidth, potentially not latency sensitive, on a different slice, maybe with a better price point. So it just lets us match traffic types to slices, which gives you some security capabilities, some performance, and some predictability around your pricing. We're just now really starting to see that manifest and see enterprises want to take advantage of that. And we have partners such as T-Mobile who are really dedicating slices to different types of traffic to help meet their business customers' needs. So I think that's one of the things, if I were to pay attention in the next year, you're going to hear a lot more about using slicing to optimize connectivity for particular types of traffic in businesses.
So that's really interesting to hear about that standalone capabilities that are coming as a new service. I'm wondering, are there any other types of services that you see the fixed wireless access enabling? Any new revenue opportunities this creates, in particular for carriers and channel partners?
Well, let me address the channel partners first. Many channel partners have strong networking and security businesses. that are still somewhat geared towards wired networks. So maybe they're on the LAN side or they're on the WAN side, but they're working with fiber or other types of fixed networks. And what I would say is for those value-added resellers or MSPs that haven't really looked at cellular yet, this is a great opportunity. And as we roll out the standalone network, the value only becomes greater. So one of the big opportunities, if you are providing network services and you don't yet have some form of cellular capabilities within your portfolio, within your practice, I absolutely would encourage you to talk to us, talk to another company. But we believe, and I'm biased, but we believe that the future of the world is wireless. That if it can be unwired, it will be. It just makes so much sense. And so I still think we're even at the forefront of some of the revolution that we're going to get with 5G and even the upcoming 6G. So any network provider, any network service provider that's not currently offering some kind of a wireless solution for their customers absolutely should. And I think that's a huge opportunity. Particularly, we're going to see expansion into satellite. So it's not just cellular, but there's a lot going on in the wireless space. So I think that's a huge opportunity. Carrier opportunity, we've talked about that before. Yeah. They've invested literally billions of dollars in their 5G networks. Now that they're doing standalone, even more. And in order to monetize that, they really want to be able to provide higher value services. They want to attract those business users and then provide services to them. And so I think they need a partner like Inseego that takes advantage of those services. Things like slicing don't have value unless you have somebody capable of interacting with those slices, for example. So I think working with a partner like Inseego allows them to monetize some of that 5G investment and extend it into the business world. This is not a surprise. We see them doing this. We're working very closely with all of the North American carriers to be able to allow them to take advantage of that. So yeah, I would say those are the big thing. And then if you're in the enterprise side and you haven't looked at cellular, again, there's a vast opportunity to be able to sort of unlock your business. It is about reliability, which we've talked about, but it's also about movement. So if you want to be able to get to where your customers are, let's say you want to open up at a farmer's market, you want to go to a music festival, you want to do a pop-up location, all of those things require connectivity. And you're going to need that secure and reliable, easy to manage connectivity to be able to support that. So don't feel like you're tied down or you can only use a hotspot on a phone to be able to do this. There are really good enterprise quality solutions, such as we offer, to be able to get you out, moving around and depending on the 5G network.
No, I think that sounds really good. Sounds like there's a lot of opportunities. If I'm someone watching the video and I'm like, hey, this FWA stuff sounds cool, the Inseego technology sounds cool, what do you recommend someone who's watching this, who's interested, do next? Where should they go to find and learn more?
Well, it depends on who they are. Obviously, they can always come to our website, www.inseego.com. But we don't sell directly to end users. So if they're an individual power user like yourself, they can always go into a carrier and talk to the retail establishment. There's probably great options, hopefully Inseego options at the store for them. If you're a business and you work with a reseller, even one of the, like a CDW or something like that, call them. They list our products and would be happy to provide those to you. If you work with larger VARs or if you have a managed service, then they often offer Inseego products as well. And then the enterprise sales team at the carriers, if you're a business, can talk to you about all of your options regarding 5G, FWA, and Inseego. But if you want to just learn more about 5G technology, FWA, some of the ways that people are using it, encourage you to come to the website. We've got a lot of great content on there, just educating people because there's still a lot of uncertainty about using cellular. I think people still even think of it as a phone technology and don't really realize how they can use it for business. So come and learn more or listen to great podcasts like yours.
That sounds fantastic. And I know the holidays are coming. So just in case someone's thinking, hey, this would make a great gift for that person who has everything, how long does it typically take? If someone wanted to go ahead and order it and get it spun up and roll out, what are we looking at? Is it weeks, days, minutes?
If you went into a retail establishment, it's minutes, right? You can just pick it up right there. And then to set it up, it's literally a plug it in and go. And whether it's a MiFi device or whether it's one of the FWA devices, it's just no time at all. So yeah, do that. You don't want to lose connection over Christmas.
That's right. And it's perfect time. There's still plenty of time to get one of those Inseego MiFi devices underneath the tree. You heard it here first. Anyways, listen, Donna, thank you so much for all the great insights. It's really clear that fixed wireless access is becoming, a mainstream enterprise connectivity option as well, right? In my enterprise, right, business, SMBs, et cetera, as well as consumers. It's fast, it's flexible, it's becoming increasingly powerful, especially with platforms like the FX 4200 that's coming out and a lot of the evolution that's happening with 5G standalone. So, again, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed the conversation and I appreciate you being a customer.
Absolutely. And I wanted to thank everyone else who is watching. For more information, as Donna said, on Inseego Solutions, please visit their website. Stay tuned for more conversations like this where we break down some of the technologies and trends shaping the future of enterprise networking.